Welcome back, everyone. Watergate was, of course, a scandal that shocked the world and forced the resignation of a president.
Yeah, but what you may not have known is that a man from Hamburg actually had a central role in setting up the whole thing. The Watergate connection is this morning's unknown story of Western New York.
The president's drastic shakeup at the White House.
It was one of the biggest political scandals in our history. In 1972, 5 burglars were discovered in the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. Those men were accused of planting wiretaps, which set off a series of cover-up attempts in a murky path that led right into the Oval Office. Several of President Richard Nixon's inner circle were caught up in the resulting investigation. And it was that cover-up that led to the resignation of our 37th president.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon.
One of the key figures in the scandal was a man named E. Howard Hunt. Canisius College political science professor and Erie County legislator Kevin Hardwick has studied the Watergate scandal and Howard Hunt extensively, but one fact escaped him.
I knew who Howard Hunt was, but I'd never made the connection to Western New York.
Howard Hunt was born, raised, and is buried in Hamburg.
Did you engage in any successful clandestine activities that you have not informed this committee about?
He became a very public figure during the congressional hearings into the scandal, which received wall-to-wall network coverage.
Would you care to limit that, Senator, to a particular period of time?
A public figure with a very private past.
He was a former CIA agent. He was involved in the aftermath, setting up for the government in Cuba after the Bay of Pigs invasion. But he was very anti-Castro. He had a lot of connections with the Cuban exile community. And in fact, it was a couple of the Cuban exiles recruited by Hunt who were involved in the Watergate burglary.
He was part of a group of Nixon's closest advisors, which included another soon-to-be famous name, G. Gordon Liddy, and was put together after classified information began appearing in the news.
Nixon had had this outfit that they called the Plumbers, which was to plug the leaks in the White House.
The Plumbers, ironically, became the pipeline that led the Watergate investigation right to the president.
When Mr. Bittman turned the $75,000 over to you, what was that money for?
I construed $60,000 of it as being for legal fees.
The committee followed the money trail and also the paper trail. One key piece of evidence were the initials HH in address books belonging to the Watergate burglars. It helped investigators and reporters connect the break-in to the president and his re-election campaign. Convicted of burglary, conspiracy, and wiretapping, Hunt served 33 months in prison.
Well, you can argue that were it not for his name in a couple of address books by the burglars, they never would have made the connection to the committee to re-elect the president, creep, and Watergate may never have happened.
And this spy-turned-presidential confidant might never have broken into the unknown stories of Western New York.
And another interesting note about Howard Hunt, he was also a prolific author. 24 novels under his own name, another 22 under a variety of pen names. And this will surprise you. Most of them were spy novels.
Yeah, with that CIA background. And
yeah.
What a great story.
But yeah, when I heard he was from Hamburg.
Yeah.
You know, my mom, when I was a kid, she made us all watch the Watergate hearings because it was history in the making.
Yeah.
And that name was him, G. Gordon Liddy. They were pretty much the poster child of the Watergate scandal.
His initials hadn't been there, then what would we call scandals? We couldn't call them Gates.
Right,
We'd have to
exactly.
come up with some other.
Yeah, there you go.